Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Friday, the 28th of April. I can't believe we're already at the end of the month of April. 2023 is going by just a little bit too quickly. Now, this is supposed to be a funny or a feel good Friday. I'm not sure. I think I need to land on feel good Friday because I can guarantee you I won't be funny every Friday because I'm just not a funny person. So I'm recording this really, really late on Thursday night because yesterday, Thursday, I had a Episcopate Circle, which is a gathering of the Bishop of the Diocese of Edmonton and all his archdeacons to gather in Edmonton to talk about the churches and the ministries and the things that we do and to share wisdom and to learn from one another and to really pray together and do things like that. But Edmonton's 2.5 hours away, so I get up at 5 in the morning and get out of the house by 6 and didn't get home until almost 7 o'clock at night. And then I have a funeral on Friday today, um, that in a couple of hours from when you'll see this in the morning, and I had to finish getting ready for that. So I was like ready to get ready for bed and think, oh, what a great day. Oh my heavens, I forgot. So this is Feel Good Friday today anyway. And I wanted to share with you a story about how strawberries were, or why strawberries were created. And it was written, now I don't know whether he wrote it or he stole it. Could be a bit of both, by Andrew Greeley, who was a Roman Catholic priest who wrote incredible mystery novels. The father, or Bishop Blackie, novels, but he also wrote novels about Ireland and his family and the family in his books. So this is from the Bishop and the Beggar Girl of Saint Germain. About It's a mystery that happens in Paris. And at the wedding of the beggar girl, which that's not part of the mystery, so if you ever want to read the book, I haven't spoiled it for you. At her wedding, at the end of the book, he tells the story um, of strawberries. So I'm going to share it with you because it made me feel good. So today is story time with Rachel. Okay. So get yourself comfortable, however you like to be comfortable for a good story. If you like to remember back in the library, we get that piece of carpet. We all have our piece of carpet. We could go sit on the floor in the library and get all curled up and listen to the librarian. Well, there you go. Put yourself back in your school library when you're 7 or 8 years old. And here we go. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was Earthmaker and First Man and First Woman. They lived in a whitewashed stone cottage on the edge of a green field with a silver lake and a road leaving over the hills and out beyond. First Man and First Woman were very much in love and very happy together. Earthmaker was pleased with himself because it appeared that his experiment of creating male and female had been a huge success. Oh, they argued a few times a week, but never anything serious. Then one day they had a terrible fight. They forgot what they were fighting about and fought about who had started it, and then about about what the fight was about. Finally, First Woman was fed up. "You're nothing but a loud-mouthed braggart," she said, and stormed out of the cottage and across the green field and by the silver lake and over the hill and out beyond. First Man sat back in his rocking chair, lit his pipe, and sighed happily. "Well, at least we'll have some peace and quiet around here. The woman has a terrible mouth on her." But as the sun set and turned the silver lake rose gold, he realized he was hungry. "Woman," he shouted, "I want my tea." But there was no woman to make the tea. Poor First Man could not even boil water, so he had to be content with half of a cold pratie, which is what the Irish call a potato. Then, as a chill came over the cottage and First Man felt lonely altogether, he sighed again, let his pipe go out, and felt he needed a good night's sleep. He didn't light the fire because, truth to tell, he wasn't very good at such things. First Woman did all the fire lighting in their house because she could start fires in a second. The poor fellow shivered something awful when he pulled the covers up over himself. Well, he told himself, she did keep me in bed warm at night. He didn't sleep very well, and when he woke there was a terrible hunger on him. "Woman," he shouted, "I want me tea." Then he realized that there was no woman and there was no tea. So he had to be satisfied with the other half of the cold pretty. Well, he was sitting in front of the coal fireplace, puffing on a cold pipe wrapped in a thin blanket, when Earthmaker appeared. "Let me see now," said Earthmaker. "This is Earth, and I made ye male and female, and you're the male. Where's yourself?" "She's gone, your reverence." "Gone?" "Gone." "Why's she gone?" "We had a fight." "You never did." "We did." "And she left you?" "She did, your reverence." "You're a pair of Egypts." "Yes, your reverence." "You still love her?" "Oh, yes, your reverence, something terrible." "Well, then, men, off your rocking chair and after her." "She's long gone, your reverence. I'll never catch up with her." "No problem. I can move as fast as thought. I'll go ahead of you and I'll slow her down. Now get a move on." Poor first man, his heart breaking, trundled out of his chair and down the path across the green fields and by the silver lake and out beyond. Meanwhile, Earthmaker caught up with First Woman. She was still furious at First Man. She walked down the road at top speed, muttering to herself as she went. The woman had a temper, Earthmaker reflected, but that fellow would make anyone lose their temper. So to slow her down, he said, "Zap!" and created a forest. Didn't she cut through it like a warm knife cutting through butter? Then Earthmaker, zap, created a big hill. Didn't she charge over the hill like a mountain goat? So zap, Earthmaker created a big lake. That'll stop her, he said to himself. It didn't stop her at all, at all. She charged into the lake and swam across it, Australian crawl. I don't know where she learned that the stroke because Australia didn't exist way back then, but she knew it. Oh, said Earthmaker, there are problems in creating women athletes, aren't there now? Well, that poor thing is hungry, so she'll slow down to eat. Zap! There appeared along the road all kinds of fruit trees. Peach trees, plum trees, grapefruit trees, apricot trees. No apple trees, because that's another story. What did First Woman do? Well, she just picked the fruit as she was walking, didn't slow down a bit. Sure, said Earthmaker. Won't I have to fall back on me ultimate weapon? I'll have to create les fraises. Zap! First Woman stopped cold. Ah, would you look at them pretty bushes with the white flowers? As she watched, didn't the flowers turn into rich red fruit? Ah, now, isn't that gorgeous fruit, and itself just shaped like the human heart? She felt the first strawberry. Sure, doesn't it feel just like the human heart, soft and yet strong and firm? I wonder what it tastes like. Sure, doesn't it have the sweetest taste in all the world, save for the taste of human love? Well, she sighed loudly, speaking of that subject. I suppose the Egypt is chasing after me, poor dear man. I'd better wait for him. So didn't she pick a whole apron full of those fraise and sit by the strawberry bush and wait for First Man? And finally he came down the road, huffing and puffing and all worn out. This is called the strawberry bush, she said, pointing at the bush. And doesn't the fruit taste wonderful? So she gave a piece of fruit to First Man, like the priest gives the Eucharist. Ho, ho, says First Man, isn't it the sweetest taste in all the world, save for the taste of human love? So they picked more strawberries, and arm in arm walked home to their whitewashed cottage by the green field and the silver lake and the hill and out beyond. 'Tis said they lived happily ever after, which meant only 3 or so fights a week. The end. I love that story. I've read that story before, and I love that story because it's true. The the taste of human love is the sweetest taste there is. And it doesn't have to be the love between a man and a woman, or a man and a man, a woman and a woman. It doesn't have to be a romantic love. This love that is shared between two people, a mother and her child, a father and his child, two people who are the best of friends, people who meet each other only once but have a connection because they do some work together or volunteer. There's something incredible about those moments when we recognize that place where heart to heart meets. There's that bond that happens between two people, even if it's just for a moment. And it really is as sweet as a ripe strawberry, isn't it? And the idea of it being shaped like a human heart, I love that. There's something about story, isn't there? It doesn't have to be factual to be truthful. And that's the beautiful thing I think about the Bible. When I read the Bible, I don't read it as a textbook or this is the way it is absolutely. When I read the Bible, I read it with the hope that I'll see that kernel of truth within it, that truth that speaks to my heart, my strawberry, my fraise, that that part that speaks something to me that's bigger than a fact, that's bigger than what is printed. It fills my life. It fills my mind. It fills my heart. It fills my soul. We can learn from telling stories. We do every day. The things that we do, even in the business world, there probably has been for a long time. In the church, we talk about a narrative budget, the recognition that numbers and the facts and the columns, they mean something to lots of people, but for some people that doesn't quite cut it. They just don't that doesn't speak to them. They need to hear the story in a different way. And so we tell a narrative budget where we write out in story, in sentences, like for instance, if I was to write a narrative budget for my husband, just do this off the top of my head, and say, today's payday. So here's our budget. 1/3 of our budget, well, more than 1/3 of our budget, goes to the house, our mortgage and insurance and paying for bills and things like that. Um, and this beautiful amount of money, this extravagant, enormous amount of our paychecks that we send out into the world, allows us the gift of having a roof over our heads, a safe place to sleep, a place to record YouTube videos and watch hockey games. That's what that piece of our paycheck goes to. And this piece over here, my dear, it's not very big, but it goes to buying you Lego. It contributes to keeping you happy and content and filling my dining room table up with things, which means I can't actually eat at my dining room table. A narrative budget is a way of taking facts, numbers, and things like that and putting them into a story, into something that we can speak of where we spend our money. And that speaks of who we are and where we place our hearts, our souls, what the things that are important to us. Storytelling is incredible. And I really do hope that you begin to tell your own story if you haven't begun already. And I just want to say thank you to all the stories that you have shared with me over the last 2 years that I've been doing Church at Home, in the comments that you share and in the emails that I get, because you are telling me stories that teach me about your lives and where you come from. And that fills my life up and really helps me to have a broader, more wonderful, beautiful understanding of what life is. So thank you for sharing your stories with me. And I hope that you are able to write some stories of your own this weekend. And even if you can't do that, go out to the grocery store and find yourself some strawberries and think about all the work the earth maker did to slow down that first woman, because she had an anger on and she was working it off. But in the end, something beautiful, something sweet that spoke to her of her own first love, slowed her right down. Have a great weekend. Take some time to slow down. Take some time just to rest and take some time to eat strawberries and tell your stories. And please know that I am so pleased that you share your stories with me and that you have become part of my story. God bless. I will see you on Sunday for Gospel on the Go if you want to join me. It's a very particular to Dayspring's one because we're having a joint service. But otherwise, I'll see you Monday for Church at Home with Rachel. God bless you all. And again, thank you for sharing your stories.